Welcome to the Mount Fuji climbing channel. In this video, we will explain how cold it is during Mount Fuji climbing. By watching this video, you will understand the following points. 1. You will understand how cold Mount Fuji can be. 2. You will understand why Mount Fuji is cold. 3. You will learn about the measures to protect against the cold during Mount Fuji climbing. On this channel, we provide useful information for beginners or those who have no experience in climbing, specifically for climbing Mount Fuji. We kindly ask you to watch the video until the end. The general period when people can climb Mount Fuji is from July to mid-September, which spans 2.5 months during the summer season. In the city, there are scorching hot days with temperatures exceeding 30 degrees Celsius, about 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Even with just a t-shirt, it's hot, and it's difficult to sleep at night in the midst of the summer heat. In such a season, it's understandable if you don't realize how cold Mount Fuji can be when someone says, Mount Fuji is cold. In reality, many people experience extreme coldness near the summit due to insufficient measures against the cold. During this period, the average temperature on Mount Fuji is around 5 degrees Celsius, about 41 degrees Fahrenheit, with the lowest temperature reaching around 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, about 36 degrees Fahrenheit, on colder days. This temperature is not much different from the temperature in Tokyo during January or February. It's like midwinter. If you were to walk outside dressed for summer in the middle of winter, you wouldn't be able to withstand it for an hour. Let's take a look at the situation in 2018 as an example. On January 1, 2018, the lowest temperature in Tokyo was 0.6 degrees Celsius, about 33 degrees Fahrenheit, and the highest temperature was 12.4 degrees Celsius, about 54 degrees Fahrenheit. On August 18, 2018, the lowest temperature at the summit of Mount Fuji was 1.9 degrees Celsius, about 35 degrees Fahrenheit, and the highest temperature was 12.1 degrees Celsius, about 54 degrees Fahrenheit. Both days were sunny without particularly bad weather. Since the summit of Mount Fuji often experiences strong winds, the actual sensation of coldness is expected to be even greater. This means that the environment on the summit of Mount Fuji in summer is similar to the midwinter environment in Tokyo. You may hear from people who have climbed Mount Fuji that they didn't feel it was that cold. In places with higher altitudes, when the sun is shining directly, it can actually feel quite warm. Even with low temperatures, you may feel warm. However, Mount Fuji in summer is prone to being covered by clouds. When the sunlight is blocked by clouds, it suddenly becomes much colder. Although it is rare, there are days when the weather remains stable throughout the Mount Fuji climb, with no clouds forming and warm conditions. While climbing Mount Fuji, it is not advisable to expect favorable conditions where the sun shines constantly. It is necessary to prepare adequately for protection against the cold. While climbing Mount Fuji, it is not advisable to expect favorable conditions where the sun shines constantly. It is necessary to prepare adequately for protection against the cold. There is a basic temperature difference between Mount Fuji, which has an elevation of 3,776 meters, and Tokyo, which has an elevation of several tens of meters. For every 100 meters of increase in elevation, the temperature drops by approximately 0.6 degrees Celsius, about 1 degree Fahrenheit. This means that if we assume a difference of about 3,700 meters between Tokyo and Mount Fuji, the temperature difference would be 22 degrees Celsius, about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So, when Tokyo is 30 degrees Celsius, about 86 degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature at the summit of Mount Fuji would be around 8 degrees Celsius, about 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Mount Fuji experiences much stronger winds compared to Tokyo. This is because Mount Fuji is an independent peak, with few mountains around it to provide wind shelter. Moreover, there are no mountains higher than Mount Fuji, so it directly faces the wind, resulting in strong winds near the summit. It is important not to underestimate the cold caused by the wind. Even during summer, if you stand in front of a fan set to the strong setting for 30 minutes, you will feel extremely cold. Those who ride motorcycles or scooters may have experienced the chilling effect of the wind. This phenomenon occurs on Mount Fuji as well. It is common for the wind to become stronger near the summit, and it is likely that the perceived temperature will decrease by around 5 degrees Celsius, about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a simple fact that temperatures differ between daytime and nighttime. If you climb Mount Fuji only during the warm daytime hours, the cold may not be too severe. However, if you want to witness the sunrise at the summit, you must begin your ascent toward the summit in the middle of the night. This means you have to undertake the climb during the coldest time. These factors combined make the temperature on Mount Fuji feel like below freezing during the climb. By considering the three major factors contributing to the cold on Mount Fuji, we have explained how even in the midst of summer, the perceived temperature can drop below freezing. However, there are still important considerations based on the timing of the Mount Fuji climb, even within the limited period from July to mid-September. While the city may still be experiencing heat in September, the situation is different in the mountains. The change of seasons is much earlier at higher elevations, and by September, the cold becomes even more intense. Late July through August is the busiest period for Mount Fuji climbing, so it may be a good idea to postpone the climb to September and avoid the crowds. However, climbing conditions become more challenging, requiring even more determination and preparation. Taking proper measures to protect against the cold during Mount Fuji climbing will help alleviate the discomfort caused by the cold. Let's cover the key points and make thorough preparations. When it comes to cold weather gear, the representative item is undoubtedly the down jacket. Unlike jackets for everyday use, a down jacket designed for mountain climbing, especially a summer mountain climbing specific jacket, can be compactly stored and is roughly the size of a 350ml can. It weighs around 150 grams, even lighter than a t-shirt. Despite its lightweight, it provides excellent insulation and is an essential item to bring along. Make sure to carry a compact down jacket when climbing Mount Fuji. In addition to the down jacket, an extra measure is necessary for protecting against the cold during Mount Fuji climbing. It's important to minimize exposed skin. Especially, take measures to prevent exposure of the head, ears, and hands. A knit hat comes in handy when waiting for the sunrise at the summit. It not only covers the head but also the ears, providing much needed warmth. For the hands, it is advisable to bring gloves with wind resistance. In the mountains, the weather can change significantly from cold to hot within a day. To cope with that, the only option is to take off or put on layers of clothing. To avoid situations where you want to take off your down jacket but it doesn't fit in your backpack, it's recommended to bring a down jacket specifically designed for mountain use. Finally, the representative cold weather gear that should not be forgotten is actually rainwear. Anyone who goes mountain climbing always carries rainwear. Interestingly, this rainwear is not only used when it's raining, but many climbers use it as a windbreaker when the wind gets strong on the mountains. Blocking the wind is the first step to staying warm in the mountains. The same applies to Mount Fuji, of course. Sometimes people ask, since it doesn't seem like it will rain today or tomorrow, do I really need rainwear? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. As I mentioned earlier, rainwear is an essential piece of cold weather gear. It's not about whether it will rain or not, rainwear serves a crucial role in staying warm. Even people who are not familiar with mountains often underestimate the coldness of Mount Fuji. Despite providing temperature and theoretical explanations, it seems that many mistake the cold of winter for being just cool during the scorching summer days. This could also be due to misleading information from those who happen to climb Mount Fuji on a day that wasn't particularly cold. We, experienced climbers, aim to provide accurate information and hope to dispel ignorance and misunderstandings to some extent. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or inquiries about Mount Fuji climbing, please feel free to leave them in the comments section. We would be happy to assist you.